Hello and welcome back to week number 1 of the WGL APAC Season 1 broadcast. My name is Jordan Mays and I'm joined on the desk, as always, by Alex Blakey.
Great to be here, of course, Jordan. Another day of WGL APAC action we've got in store for everyone today. And I tell you what, after some of the insane matches that we saw yesterday, I'm pretty excited to get this one started.
Yeah, so am I. We saw some pretty amazing games yesterday. I mean, EL Gaming 5-0 up against Gold Bass, and obviously the 5-4 between B Gaming and Team Efficiency. Absolutely insane. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, for some of our newer viewers, why don't we go ahead and take a look at the structure for the league.
The Wargaming.net League is a global contest taking place across 4 different regions. Participating will be 12 teams, each from the CIS, APAC and EU regions, alongside 10 teams from North America. Season 1 is split into 2 phases. Phase 1 will see the teams battle it out for the top 8 spots so they can remain in the Gold Series. The remaining 4 won't make it through to Phase 2. In Phase 2, the 8 teams will fight out the remainder of the season and get ranked from 1st to 8th, depending on the points earned throughout the season. The top 2 teams automatically qualify for the Regional Season 1 finals. The 4 teams in places 3 to 6 will then participate in an online playoff for the 2 remaining slots in the Regional Season 1 finals. Once the Season 1 finals are decided and champions are crowned, the top 2 teams from EU, NA and APAC will come together with 2 wildcard teams for the Challengers Rumble, where they will have a chance to progress to fight against the champions. The top 2 teams from the Challengers Rumble will then go through to the Champions Rumble, where they will face off against the Grand Finals winner, Natus Vincere, and another team from the CIS region. The winner automatically qualifies for the Grand Finals 2017. Season 2 consists of 8 teams. As before, the top 2 teams will qualify for the season finals, with places 3 to 6 taking part in an online tournament for the remaining 2 spots. The 7th place will have to fight for the Gold Series spot in a qualifier tournament, while the 8th place will sadly be demoted. Finally, once the dust has settled, teams from all regions will fire up their tanks and come together to see who is the best of the best in the Wargaming.net League Grand Finals 2017.
There we go, Jordan. So certainly an interesting structure to the season indeed. And I'm really liking the fact that I mentioned this yesterday, that we do have these mid-season eliminations. So it kind of breaks up the season into the 2 parts. And obviously we're starting off with the first part. These teams really going to be wanting to rack up some wins early on.
Yeah, they certainly are. And we've had already 3 days of competition so far. Yesterday we had our broadcast day number 1. Let's have a look and see how that one turned out. Obviously, our first matchup between Horseman and Meltdown, a 5-2 in the favour of Meltdown. But I think the one we really want to talk about...
Gaming.
Yeah, you're
right.
right.
Gaming and Gold Bass down there. Down the bottom there, 5-0. And it was not only a 5-0, you know, you get 5-0s in some games, Jordan. And it's like, yeah, okay, you know, it's pretty close matches. They probably deserve to win a couple.
Yeah.
Gold Bass didn't deserve to win a couple. It was the cleanest 5-0 I've ever seen in tanks.
There was no situation at all where it looked like EL was ever going to lose a single round there. Every single time we got into a round, EL would get up by 2,000 or 3,000 damage, and then from there on out, they were able to just snowball the victory away. And it was just a complete and utter domination coming out from EL Gaming.
It certainly was. So they've got to be pretty happy with that win. And I think on the ladder as well, we haven't played all of the first week's matches, obviously, but they're going to be sitting pretty, I think, after today as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's something to look at here. Obviously, we have the standings so far. You can see Dark Wolf sitting on the top. But bear in mind, we haven't seen Karen Tigers, EL Gaming, or Meltdown play their second game. So any one of those 3 teams could jump up to spot number 1 at the end of today. Yeah,
and honestly, my pick's on EL Gaming for today. They've got a match up against Meltdown. that could be a fun name if the team Meltdown and Run combine. Halfway through the season, then they could be called Rundown. There you go. But I think overall, EL Gaming should be looking to take out their win today, and my prediction is for them to take out the top spot once we've finished off this week's matches.
Well, I certainly think that that's probably a pretty safe prediction. I suspect maybe we'll be seeing Karen Tigers up there as well at the top of the scoreboard because they have another match today up against the Coalition Zoo, and I would suspect that they probably should be able to pull that one out, which would leave EL Gaming and Karen Tiger up at the top there. That's our lineup for today. The first matchup, obviously, here, Alex, is going to be Twist and Team EpicGear Profit.
Yeah, Twist and TEGP, as I think we might like to call them, should be a pretty interesting match. We haven't really seen these teams go together too much before, but overall today, yeah, I'm really looking forward towards the EL Gaming Meltdown match because, I mean, that's the match where we're going to see the best tanking coming out of hopefully EL Gaming again. So they might put on another masterclass for us, I think.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, the way they looked yesterday is going to, I guess, if they continue to play like that, it's going to be really tough here for Meltdown to come away with a victory. I would even suspect we might see another 5-0 coming out from EL Gaming if they continue their form from yesterday.
Bold predictions there from Mr. Jordan. Another 5-0, he thinks, onto the Meltdown crew. I'm not too sure, guys, but let us know your thoughts. What our first match today is going to end up with. Twist and the guys from Team EpicGear Profit. Are we going to see a 5-0 there? Are we going to see a 5-0 later on when EL Gaming play Meltdown? I'm not too sure, but definitely let us know on the Twitters.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and break down a little bit more of this initial matchup here between Twist and Team EpicGear Profit. Here's our lineup on Twist, and I mean, as you mentioned, we haven't seen a huge amount of them lately.
No, not a great deal. They're sort of the middle of the road team. You know, like they're not the team that kind of brutalizes everyone throughout the season. They're going to sit around the middle of the ladder. My prediction is, at least, and they've got some solid players in their lineup. Rengar God, I like his name, quite good, and I Will Wait For You. I think it's one of the longest names in our league. So, just reading off that, I think. Well, hopefully he's not waiting for Team EpicGear Profit on the attack. I need to get a little bit crazy, but overall, I think Twist, very solid team, and we're not going to see any kind of major mistakes from them. That's not their play style.
Right, Team EpicGear Profit, on the other hand, we don't know a huge amount out of them either. They were one of the late qualifiers coming through. Yeah.
Exactly. Team EpicGear Profit, they're a Chinese-based team, and they pretty big over in the China region for World of Tanks, and I think they've got obviously a few other esports teams under their EpicGear Profit brand as well. So it should be interesting to see them play.
Yeah, speaking of EpicGear Profit, let's have a look and see their lineup for this matchup. And I mean, yeah, you mentioned they come from China. We haven't seen a huge amount from them. So for me, this matchup between Twist and Team EpicGear Profit is going to be quite hard to call.
Definitely. And Team EpicGear Profit here, they will be just looking to play pretty defensively, I feel. Obviously, they've got God Tank in the lineup. I think God Tank is their captain and well named as such as well. So going to be interesting to see what they pick. But overall, yeah, Team EpicGear Profit, I think I accidentally said that they were from China there, but good call. They are actually from Korea, and they came up through our Korean Silver qualifiers. So obviously, EL Gaming, they're our Chinese powerhouse this season. So.
Well, we've seen a couple of these teams coming through from the Silver Series. Obviously, yesterday, Team Efficiency from the Silver Series up into the Gold Series performed quite well, winning that 5-4 over B Gaming. So you certainly can't count out Team EpicGear Profit here.
Yeah. No, definitely not. So I think it'll be interesting to see how they go. Obviously, the Korean play style is a very defensive, very passive, measured play style in World of Tanks. They're the guys who like to kind of, sit back in the bushes and really just play it safe. Just wait for their opponents to make the first move, particularly when they're on the defense, obviously. And every little move is calculated in Korean World of Tanks. So that's what we're going to be expecting to see here, Jordan.
Yeah, one of the interesting storylines, I think, for this season in particular is that we've seen those Korean teams coming into our region, into the APAC region, and whether or not they're going to be able to perform to a similar level to what they were performing originally, or if they're going to get completely blown out of the water, perhaps by the Chinese powerhouses that we mentioned, is going to, remains to be seen, I guess, throughout the season.
Yeah, it does. So I think, in this first match, it'll give us a good idea. Because, these guys from Korea and from the APAC regions, they rarely have actually, fought each other before. for those that don't know, last season we had a separate Korean Gold Series and an APAC Gold Series. Now we've merged them into one. So these guys are getting to experience battles that they don't often play. Of course, the Korea server is different to the Asia server as well. So, you know, these guys, they really haven't played each other a great deal, so anything could happen.
Yeah, certainly could. And, well, looks like we are just about going to get underway here between these two teams on our first map, and it does look like it's going to be Ruinberg.
Ruinberg, of course, one of the least symmetrical maps. We've got the city over in the left and a little town over in the right. A few more open areas there, and we can see the tank lineups for today as well. Twist are going to be rolling out with, they're going to be using two of those Tier 9 Batchat 25T APs. So good to see them taking those French auto-loading tanks into battle here, Jordan.
Certainly is interesting. I mean, the Batchat, the Tier 10 Batchat rather, is pretty much a mainstay in the majority of these teams' lineups so far. And for Twist, they've only decided to pick up that single one. I mean, they've got the two Tier 9s, interestingly enough. So I guess we'll have to wait and see how that one turns out for them. On the other hand, Team EpicGear Profit, they've opted to go for the single Tier 8 as opposed to the two Tier 9s, and they've got that T54 lightweight. Interestingly enough, a couple of TVPs on their lineup as well.
Yeah, a couple of TVPs. Of course, the TVP T50/51 is that Czechoslovakian Tier 10 medium tank. Very fast, and the TVP can unload its clip in under 4.5 seconds. So great for hit and run tactics, poking over hills, getting a few shots off, and ducking back. But it's looking like right now the guys from Team EpicGear Profit are positioning to try and push onto the two flags. So they want this ground, Jordan. They're going for it.
Yeah, they certainly are. And, well, it's an interesting decision because the 2 cap is often a cap that we don't necessarily see pushed so much. It's very open here, but they do have quite a few heavy tanks that they can soak up a bit of HP with. So we'll see how this one works out for Team EpicGear Profit. They have managed to get those 3 tanks onto the cap now. A 4th joining them relatively unscathed, but now we start to see the battle ringing out, and it seems like Twist are getting a slight advantage early on in the piece.
They definitely are. Twist a little bit more HP than Team EpicGear Profit at the moment, but it's looking like they are not actually going to be staying in the cap. No, we've got some tanks in the cap still, but some moving out as well. So it's looking like they're trying to go for the all-out brawl, and with all of those Batchats, Jordan, it might work.
Yeah, certainly might. We'll have to see how this one turns out for Twist. They are starting to get pushed by the guys from Team EpicGear Profit. They have a player in the town starting to rotate across. That's Moon Knight in one of those Batchat, the Tier 9 Batchat. And if he can get there in time and swing the numbers back in the favor of Twist, this is going to be looking very dangerous for Team EpicGear Profit because they're being surrounded at the moment. And they still have a player down there in KO doing absolutely nothing. You can see all the damage ringing out now from Twist. They've already picked up a couple of those tanks on Team EpicGear Profit. And, well, EpicGear Profit's certainly starting to capitulate at the moment.
Yeah, it is not looking good for Team EpicGear Profit right here as Yui JP, it looks like he's going to be the focus from Twist, and good idea from them focusing down that FV215B. That British Tier 10 heavy tank is going to be the one dealing lots of the damage here, more damage than these 113s, but God Tank gets one back.
Yeah, it certainly does. I'm not sure how much that is going to be worth for Team EpicGear Profit here. It still seems like they're certainly at a bit of a disadvantage. They are going to lose another 2 tanks as we see Moon Knight go careering into one of his teammates' dead tanks. But in the end, I certainly expect here that Twist should be able to close this one out, no problems at all.
Yeah, look, it's looking like it. Unless Gapdol GP can be the hero of Team EpicGear Profit in his TVP T50-51, it's not looking like it, though, with everyone bar Walrus still alive on Twist. So it looks like they might be able to end this with a almost perfect battle. There we go.
Yeah, well, I mean, they only lost that single tank there, and it actually seemed quite comfortable for Twist. They did allow EpicGear Profit to get into that cap circle, which perhaps could have been dangerous, but in the end, I mean, they were able to capitalize on it. They got lots of free damage across to Twist as they were in that, over to Team EpicGear Profit rather, as Twist, as they were in that cap.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
look, I mean, the early decision, I feel, to push into the town, that was a little bit so-so. I wasn't too sure how that was going to work out, but obviously, you know, Twist worked out pretty well for them.
Yeah, look, EpicGear Profit, when they decided to push from the cap into the town, in fact, they only sort of came in with only a few tanks, not necessarily all of their tanks. You could see there was still 3 tanks down towards the south of the map. So it seemed like those 3 tanks towards the south of the map weren't necessarily having the greatest of impact.
Exactly, yeah. That you really need to get those tanks in the fray there and kind of making sure that their guns are firing, that the shells are going through the enemies to really, well, get them down effectively. So like you said, weren't really doing that effectively.
Let's have a look at some of the key points in that matchup there. It does look like, it wasn't necessarily the greatest of times for EpicGear. I think that's quite safe to say.
Yeah, that is very safe to say here. So Team EpicGear Profit, we can see here, they're a little bit scattered out, whereas all of Twist have generally got fire angles here on Team EpicGear Profit. So Yui JP, he was not in a great position there in his British heavy tank, and we can see here Team EpicGear Profit. Moon Knight, he did get a couple of good shots off, but at the end it was just not enough, and they just didn't look ready for that push.
Yeah, no, look, I'm not too worried here at all, though, for Team EpicGear Profit, because we do know Ruinberg, quite a difficult map to attack on, and now EpicGear Profit are going to be moving over to the defensive side, so the pressure perhaps falling back over onto Twist now, despite that 1-0 lead that they've got.
Yeah. Definitely. Ruinberg, it's a, like we said, a very non-symmetrical map. The attack and the defense sides play so differently because of the layout of the map. You know, on the defensive side, you're really relegated just to sitting behind both of those flags, right?
Yeah.
But on the attacking side, you've got so many more options. Any street in the town you can go through. You can go right out to the right side of the map down on the 0 line. You can send a few tanks out there. You can send a few tanks kind of into the center of the map that can fire either into the town or out into the fields.
Yep.
There's lots of options on the attack. So I think if we're going to be seeing anything creative from Team EpicGear Profit, then that's where we're going to see it on the attacking side.
I think that's certainly something that maybe Team EpicGear Profit could have abused a little bit more. We saw them just go straight towards that 2 cap, and they were like, okay, yep, we've got the 2 cap, let's go into the town. And they didn't necessarily try and utilize the map at all. They went straight into the 2 cap and just committed straight towards the town. So, maybe they could have pushed in there, got a bit of information, moved back out, utilized the town to rotate across to the 1 cap, something like that. That's something that we see a lot of teams doing, and it's certainly something that EL Gaming was able to do quite well yesterday.
Yeah, well, of course, EL Gaming yesterday, I mean, they put on a masterclass on the Ruinberg map, and they looked completely confident on both the attack and defensive sides of the map there. So,
well, you could almost say they played 2 attacking sides, if you remember, because they just charged straight into the town. They were like, okay, well, you know what, we're on defense, but we're going to take this into our own hands.
Yep, there you go. And EL Gaming, they're like the team that you really, really want or like the members that you really, really want on your team when you're in a pub game in a random battle.
Yeah.
Like, you want a couple of platoons of EL Gaming members on your side.
Yeah.
Just to completely destroy the enemy team there with a few nice plays like we saw yesterday. I definitely wouldn't want to face off against 1 or 2 platoons of EL Gaming in a random battle.
In fairness, you probably wouldn't want to face any of these players.
True.
Because they're all the top tier players in the region. So
it is true.
Maybe EL Gaming's a step above, but these guys are still fantastic players.
Actually, I did have a few games earlier when I was practicing, doing a bit of research, driving my FV215B183, and I ran into a couple of platoons of the EL Gaming players.
Oh, okay.
And these guys were like the most aggressive platoons you've ever seen. They were the ones at the front of our team. They were just going, completely ham towards the enemies, and somehow it worked out every single time, because I had about 2 games with them, and it was like, how do you guys do this?
It is a bit of a mystery sometimes when you're playing with a really skilled player and they just charge straight into some sort of a situation where you're like, they're going to get absolutely obliterated here, and then they come out with like 3 kills in a 3v1 situation. You're just like, how did they even manage to do that? Well, the mysteries of the game that are beyond me.
I certainly can't do that, and well, let's be honest, Jordan, you probably can't either.
No,
so.
I'd like to think I could, but probably highly unlikely.
Oh, probably. And maybe we could ask these guys for a few little tips. That's not a bad idea.
Well,
you
I'm sure, maybe we'll be seeing them coming down here to Sydney later on in the season.
Ooh, yes, for the season finals. That's pretty exciting, I think. So, yeah, we've got more info on that to come, I think. But, yeah, the season finals obviously going to be in October.
Yep.
But if we could see a team as aggressive and exciting as Team Epic, as EL Gaming, rather, come over here and maybe you could kind of drag them off into the room just before their match, be like, hey lads, just you want to show, give us a
I think you might need to scratch up on your Chinese
tips
though first.
Don't remind me.
I'm not sure how.
I'm
not sure how good your English is, but I know your Chinese is not very good.
No, my Chinese, we've got a bad record of my Chinese, so yeah, I'm probably going to need to get up to scratch on that one, I think, and it would help out for a few other things as well. But yeah, there we go. So it's looking like we will be jumping into the next half of Ruinberg finally, and. What have we got, Jordan?
Well, a few 113s immediately the standout point here for Twist. This is similar to what we saw EpicGear Profit doing, and they're actually moving in the same direction as EpicGear. So perhaps they're going to just try and get that a similar strategy heading towards that 2-cap with the 113s.
Okay, and you know what? I really like Twist's lineup. They've got 3 113s. Of course, for those that don't know, the 113 is a Chinese Tier 10 heavy tank. It's technically a heavy tank in the game, but really the best way to think of it is like a hybrid between a heavy tank and a medium tank. There we go. We've got the 113s on shot right now, nice and well lined up. It's going to be hard to go through that armor. But one of the differences about the 113 compared to lots of the other Chinese tanks in the game, Chinese medium and heavy tanks, is that it's truly made in China, right? So China, earlier on for some of their other heavies and medium tanks, they just copied and kind of reverse engineered Soviet designs and just used them. But the 113 is one of the few tanks that around that period China actually completely engineered and built themselves. Obviously, having kind of used some of the experience that they had in reverse engineering and building some of those Soviet tanks as well. So it's looking like we might be seeing these 113s making a move for the 2 flag now.
Certainly does seem that way. At least they have a player up towards that 1-cap. That's Alex Dye in the RU-251, the scout tank there, the Tier 8. Just spotting up towards that direction, making sure no one from Team EpicGear Profit can rotate through the town behind these Twist players. But you can see now the Twist guys definitely looking like they're going to commit towards this 2-cap. And it seems like a fairly similar formation to what we saw from EpicGear Profit.
Yeah, it's looking like it right there. So we are going to be seeing these 3 Chinese heavy tanks moving in towards the 2 flag. And the 113's got quite decent frontal armor there. I think it's about 120 millimeters thick, but well sloped. So, it's going to be hard to put a shell through that for some of these FV215Bs on the Team EpicGear Profit side. So it's looking like as well they need to move soon because the base cap, it's down to 15 seconds already.
Yeah, certainly not a lot of time left here for Twist, or for EpicGear Profit rather, to work with. Now down to 10 seconds, and you can see the rotations coming across from that 1-cap, but they are going to have to commit to this one soon. The
4 seconds.
Taking a lot of damage in the end. The reset does come out here, and that should be it there for EpicGear Profit. They're safe in terms of getting that cap reset, but they have lost a player. Having said that, though, look at how much damage they've been able to do over to Twist in response. These 113s getting absolutely nailed, and in particular Moon Knight getting absolutely smashed at the back of the formation there. EpicGear Profit do take a bit of damage in response, but they certainly have the advantage coming out of that initial trade.
Yes, they do, and Twist are going to be hurting after that. Lots of their tanks, some of those 113s on the flag right there, are dropping so low. Shots firing in from every angle. These FV215Bs are just ripping those Chinese heavy tanks apart here, Jordan.
Yeah, they certainly are. Well, having said that, though, Twist are trying to do their best to get a bit of damage back across. And remember, Twist was actually the ones to get the first pick. Suddenly, though, things have started to go back in the favor of EpicGear Profit, and I guess that goes to show how difficult it can be to attack on this map. And it really, in reality, one of these tanks from Team EpicGear Profit hasn't even done anything this entire game.
Yeah, there we go, and we can see Best Momo there. He's angling his tank so well. We just saw one shell ricochet off that nice sloped armor there. And in the meantime, Hoi Hing Lai in the Batchat 25T is in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, Gapdol still slowly but surely making his way around on the flank there. Hasn't had an impact on this game at all. I want to reiterate that because essentially Team EpicGear Profit here have been one tank down the entire battle, but they still managed to find what looks like it should be a victory here.
Yeah, oh, and Dodo waiting, getting so close right there. That FV215B was just about to reload and put a shell right through that Russian Tier 10 medium tank, but didn't quite manage to in time. So it's looking like 3 tanks, 1 shell from death on the Twist side.
Yeah, there goes one of them, as we can see. Actually, no, rather, yes. Sorry, one of them going down there, as you can see, and obviously God Tank here picking up another. The final kill is going to go there over to EpicGear Profit, and well, no surprise, both teams winning their defensive side. We're 1 apiece after Nuremberg.
There we go. So 1 apiece, fairly even. A nice little defense there from Team EpicGear Profit. Obviously, it was slightly kind of closer there than it was when EpicGear Profit were on the attack themselves, because we saw Twist having 6 tanks remaining out of 7. Their Team EpicGear Profit only had 3. So very, very close, but well played to TGP in that one.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really read too much into that one, I don't think. Both teams reasonably convincing on their defensive side. It seemed like both teams quite comfortable with how things were going there and didn't really do anything too crazy.
Look, on the defensive side, there on Nuremberg, particularly when we see 2 teams do similar sort of strategies as they did, where effectively they just got onto the 2 flag and then they brought it out in the town. Right? So, you know, the only thing that changes there is individual players' skills. So it's how well you angle your tank. It's how well you aim your shells to try and penetrate the enemy tanks. And it's those sorts of skills that, that really make a difference.
Let's have a look and see how that one panned out there for Team EpicGear Profit, who were able to pick up the victory on that map. And I think this was, I mean, yeah, the RU251 didn't really get himself in a great position. I don't know if he was necessarily the one that should have been trying to contest that cap.
No, I'm not too sure either, but here, this was Dodo waiting. Look at the reload timer. He just gets it before UEGP can reload, so he's got to be pretty happy about that one. Of course, the Object 140 having a nice short reload time on that, I think, 100mm cannon of its on its big turret. So,
yeah, well, medium tanks tend to have a pretty short reload for the majority, of the tanks. In medium class. Obviously, heavy tanks taking a little bit longer. And,
yeah, something like a 113, of course, having a much longer reload than those Object 140s. So that's why the FV215B, though, the British Tier 10 heavy tank, actually has one of the shortest reloads.
Well, I think across the board, British tanks have a pretty quick reload, don't
they? British tanks, all about the accurate gun, the high penetration, and the rapid fire rate compared to other tanks' guns. So, you know, you're not going to get the highest or the biggest shells in most British tanks, but they're going to be the most accurate and they're going to go through the most armor.
Yeah, well, I guess Russian tanks, on the other hand, they kind of tend to lean towards a different direction.
Just a little bit. They tend to follow the Russian philosophy of engineering, which is the bigger the better, basically. So, big guns. I think the IS-7, of course, having that 130mm cannon, and IS-4 not too far behind as well. So that's all what the Russian tanks were about around this sort of time of manufacture. They just wanted the biggest guns to go through the German Jagdtiger and Panzer tanks at the time, and so that's why they strapped the biggest shell gun that they could find.
I guess you can certainly see that in the design of the tanks as well. Things like the KV-5, the massive box on top of the hull, really goes to show just how that philosophy comes into effect. I mean, they don't across the board. The Russian tanks don't necessarily have the greatest of gun depression either. It's all just about getting in there, shooting the big bullet, and tanking all the rest of the damage.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. So making sure that they can kind of try and ricochet the rest of the damage with the nice sloped armor that the ISs have at the front. Of course, those IS-7s have the nice little frontal pike on them, which is designed to ricochet shells every which way as long as they're facing their opponent. So a little tip for any of our tankers out there: if you're facing any of the IS tanks, try and shoot them when they're not directly facing you in the pike, because that means that instead of shooting a armor that's angled like that, then you can just shoot directly through it.
Yeah, well, it looks like Ghost Town is going to be our second map here, and we know that it's a reasonably symmetrical map, don't we?
Yes, Ghost Town, of course, it's not like Ruinberg at all, really. We, see both sides being able to be played fairly similarly. And here we go. Twist is going to be rolling out with a fairly standard lineup, just lots of British heavies, an E5 and a Batchat.
You say it's standard, but I mean, we don't often see 4 FE215Bs, do we?
No, normally it's around 3. So yeah, I'm stretching the definition of standard just a little bit, but I think either way they've got a lot of firepower on their team. That much is certain, as they're going to be actually going towards the 2 flag right here on the Twist side. So EpicGear Prophet looking to do maybe a late town push up the 5 or 6 lines. We'll see how it works out.
Yeah, I like that they've got their Batchat down the bottom of the map there as well, just to spot out in case anyone was trying to flank around. Interestingly, Twist have just decided, you know what, we're just going to hold right in towards that 2 cap, which is not something that we see too often. Generally speaking, the defensive side is a little bit more spread out on Ghost Town.
Yeah, that is quite true, but here we can see Team EpicGear Prophet, Angry Bee GP, UEGP and co. just going to be moving up towards a 2 flag fairly soon. And, TGP, they've actually got 2 TVPs in their lineup. So they've got 2 TVP T5051s, and really they're best used for flanking. Right, so if those TVPs can get all the way down the bottom of the map, all the way to the left of it, and all the way back up to the Twist spawn area, then they can just unleash hell on the sides of those Twist tanks.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly seems like, just looking at the tank lineup for EpicGear Prophet, they don't necessarily want to take a straight fight. They want to try and get around on those flanks, at least with those TVPs and maybe the Batchat as well if they're lucky, while the heavy tanks sort of tank a bit of damage. But if they get into a straight fight, the TVP's trading damage with any of these FE215Bs, it's not going to look pretty, is it?
No, it is not going to look pretty at all. So here we can see the Conqueror as well, a bit of a different pick from Team EpicGear Prophet. Oh, wow, there's some action happening where you can see Alex die, getting low.
Yeah, it certainly is, and you can see that auto-loader paying dividends there for the Batchat in that fight. The RU-251 getting it pretty low, but in the end, the autoloader proving to be too strong. Just a little bit too much burst damage coming out of that one.
Just a little bit, I think, Jordan. So, not a huge loss, though, as we have got the RU-251 going down. That's only a Tier 8 tank, let's remember. So, out of all of the tanks, the least valuable on the Twist side, the Sparpanzer.
Yeah.
So,
I think, though, the more important factor of that tank going down is that it is going to give Team EpicGear Prophet huge advantage in terms of the northern side of the map. You can see there's absolutely no one from Twist up there doing anything, and now we can see the Batchat here just putting a little bit of pressure on that cap, and this is surely going to force a rotation from Twist. If EpicGear Prophet can time their push right, they might be able to catch Twist off guard.
Yeah, they might be able to right here, but Twist, from the looks of things, are going to be moving through the center of the map and trying to engage the Conqueror here. He's caught out.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's in a very terrible position here. Has absolutely no backup, and a couple of Tier 10 heavies facing him down. Surely he's going to be going down here. I don't think he's got much life left in him. In the end, Moon Knight able to pick up that one, and we're back to a 1-for-1 trade. Still, the HP advantage really not leaning either way at the moment. We can start to see Team EpicGear Prophet this time picking off a tank. They've managed to catch off the enemy Batchat off guard. Now we're back down to a relatively even situation. Twist getting a little bit of an advantage again as they do quite a bit of damage over to EpicGear's Batchat. We can start to see the reinforcements making their way across here though, and it does seem certainly like it's a pretty close battle for the moment.
Look at this. Look at how close Twist are grouped up together. They're all in this little spot, and EpicGear Prophet, they're trying to poke them. And it's looking like it's working on Dodo Waiting. He's just taken 1,000 damage. It's not looking good for Twist, Jordan.
Certainly not, but both the TVPs are on reload at the moment here for EpicGear Prophet, so this is kind of the time where Twist might be able to bring things back, and one of those TVPs reloading extremely slowly as well. I think he might have a damaged crew member, which is not great for him. Still, only 3 players left alive on the field here for Twist, and I don't know if they're going to have enough damage to bring down any of these tanks, because you can look at the top, the HP pools up the top there. It was reasonably similar, but Twist just don't have the damage that EpicGear Profit do at this point in time.
No, they just don't. And now with that, one of their FV215Bs one shell away from going up in smoke. I don't think there's any way that they can come back from this one. In saying that, UEGP is one shell away from death as well. So maybe we might see a miracle, but now that Best Momo has been tracked, I don't think we will.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't seem that way. We're going to be seeing Tilla Dolby here with the final few bits of damage. Gapdol in the end able to pick up the final little crushing blow, I suppose. And you can see EpicGear now finding themselves 2-1 up after the first half of Ghost Town.
Yeah, not looking too bad at all. And I think it's going to be interesting now that we're on Ghost Town to see whether EpicGear Profit, whether they can kind of pull off a win on the defensive side now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, can they... It's all well and good being able to conduct an attack well enough on Ghost Town. It's, you know, fairly easy. You kind of push into the town. You make sure you poke right. You get the right angles around the corners so that your tanks aren't displaying their sides to anyone and just get a shot off, duck back behind the corners. EpicGear Profit have done that well. But on the defensive side, you've got to move a lot more. And moving might be their issue.
Yeah, well, I think probably the issue for Twist there on their defensive side was that RU251 getting picked off. Certainly didn't seem to expect to be taking a duel up there. Otherwise, I'm sure he wouldn't have been in that situation. I mean, there's probably no situation really where the RU251 should be able to take out the Batchat 25T AP in like a straight duel like that.
Yeah, there we go.
So that, at least for me, was the key part of that one, which gave EpicGear Profit so much more room to move over the map.
Yeah, look at that. And here we saw the Conqueror going down as well for Team EpicGear Profit. And you'd think at this point, Twist were doing, you know, kind of okay. But the issue was because they had moved through that 2 flag, like they just got themselves into some very compromising positions, right? So all of the tanks on Team EpicGear Profit side could just go right through their armor, just pick wherever they wanted to shoot. And it just went downhill from there.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see even now, Twist look like they have more, well, they definitely had more HP in total, and it looked like they were in a good position if you just saw the HP. But what you have to factor in is how much more DPS EpicGear Profit can bring out with those, 6 tanks that they had alive up against only like 4 from Twist. So at a certain point, you need to be careful of which tanks you're losing, despite how much damage you're doing perhaps to the opposing tanks. You need to be focus firing, and I think that's important.
Focus fire is the key word there, Jordan, and I think it's something that the guys from Twist could have done a little bit better in that one. So, you know, overall, we'll see whether they can do better in this second half of the map here of Ghost Town. But my bet is I think they'll improve. I think we're going to see an even closer battle than what we just saw.
Well, it should in theory be a relatively easy fix. I mean, that's quite an easy issue, I guess, to identify.
Exactly.
You can be like, okay, we did a lot of damage, but it perhaps wasn't to the correct tanks. I mean, sure, you can get a tank down to 100 HP, but what does that matter when they're still shooting?
Yeah. Exactly. So that's the key takeaway in World of Tanks is that as long as your tank is alive, as long as you know all of your crew in there are still kicking, then you can still fire those shells. You can still pose a big threat on the battlefield.
So. Yeah, you're right. There was actually a instance of that yesterday where we saw an AMX-50B down to 1 HP, able to peek around the corner at the correct time, drop his entire autoloader clip out onto an enemy tank, and just completely obliterated him. Chose the right time. And, you know, despite being on that 1 HP, was able to have a massive impact on that game.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, like, I think I've had a few situations where I've been down to 1 HP, and it's just been like, oh my goodness, like how am I gonna poke this corner? You know, what happens if an HE shell lands, you know, 10 meters away from me and just destroys the last, you know, sliver of health that I have left. It's very, very hard.
The last little cone of paint that's keeping your entire tank together.
Yeah. Last little screw comes off and it all just falls apart.
Yeah.
There you go. But I think overall, you know, these guys, they're calm under pressure. You know, most of these teams have been in the Gold Series before. 8 of them have, of course. And before that, the others had been in the Silver Series.
Yeah.
So overall, you know, these are the tankers that you want on your team to cope when you've just got 1 HP left.
Yeah, I mean, we talk so much about experience and how some of the teams are moving up from the Silver Series to the Gold Series, but you know, across the board, all these teams have a huge amount of experience.
Definitely. So here we go. Jumping into the next half, and it's looking like Twist over here are going to be bringing in some fairly standard tanks. They've got 3 215Bs, one 113, an AMX 50B, and a Batchat, and that RU-251 Sparpanzer. But the interesting thing here, Jordan, that I'm really looking forward to seeing is Gapdol in that M40, M43 Tier 8 American SPG.
Yeah, we spoke so much about it yesterday, how much of an impact it can have if it lands a shell in the right spot. You know, some of these Batchats are going to need to be careful of their positioning. Certainly, you know, the RU-251 here as well. Alex Dye, he needs to be careful of where he is. There's the first shot coming out of the M40.
Oh, it hit a few.
It hit a couple of guys. Or maybe he hit one of them. Someone else hit the guy in the similar... at the similar time. But regardless, a bit of damage already coming out for the M40-43. Not quite the explosive start that we might be used to seeing from the M40-43, but well, pretty good to see him.
Yeah, pretty good start nonetheless. And when you're firing an FV-215Bs, the FV's got a lot of armor all around it. So an artillery shell, it's probably not going to, you know, one-shot it or deal something crazy like 1,600 damage generally. But you know, Gapdol getting that early shot across, he's got to be pretty happy with that start.
Yeah, certainly should. And actually a little interesting to see that the artillery on the defensive side here on Ghost Town. Typically we would see it on the offensive side, but I suppose whatever works for you works in the end.
Yeah, and I've got to say, I love Twist's camo on their tanks, the blue and white, but hold that thought as they're going in.
Yeah, they certainly are. We can already see the 113 there taking a little bit of damage, and across the board, Twist actually starting to hurt a little bit. As I say that, though, they do a huge amount of damage there to Angry B on that IS-7, going so low on HP. They've taken out the AMX 50B. Fantastic focus fire coming out here so far from Twist, and we said that this was something they needed to work on from the last round. They're certainly doing that at the moment. Having said that, though, Team EpicGear Profit are responding in kind. They've actually dealt more damage to Twist than they have received, and at the moment, they're looking quite good. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but the damage going across here is certainly favouring Team EpicGear Profit.
It is a slugfest right here in the town, Jordan, and Twist, they've got a few members getting so low. EpicGear Profit are primarying. I will wait for you. He goes down in his AMX 50B. We've got the TVP, Jurdis up the top there. He just unloaded his clip to take out the 113 of Knife Die, and overall, this is looking bad for Twist.
Yeah, we just saw the M40-43 come off reload. I don't think he managed to land his shell there, but certainly seems like it's not going to matter in this situation, as EpicGear Profit should be able to clean up these remaining few tanks, and do, now putting themselves at a 3-1 lead.
There we go. So EpicGear Profit looking very good indeed heading into our next map there with a 3-1 lead. So, and I think that one, I mean, we had sort of similar tanks on both sides. Again, it was just an all-out brawl in the city.
You know, like, typically we've been seeing some slower starts yesterday specifically.
Exactly, and this was the complete opposite. We saw both teams for both of those matches really just going straight into the city and just saying, alrighty guys, here's our tanks, here's yours, let's biff it out on the streets of Ghost Town.
Certainly seems like in that sort of a situation, EpicGear has the advantage. We saw it both times on Ghost Town. They got into sort of a brawly situation, and their focus fire just a little bit stronger. They were able to get extra damage across, and it certainly didn't help Twist too much. But let's go ahead and have a look at how that one turned out, though, because EpicGear definitely were fantastic in that situation.
Yeah, look, here we can see Twist, and I want to point out these FV-215Bs from Twist, they don't need to push out this far. Hoi Hing Lai, right there, he's in the middle of nowhere. He doesn't have any cover. He got tracked. He was punished. Here, again, look at where all of those FV-215Bs for Twist are. They're just in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
You know, it's a big tank, right? But you can still take cover. That's what these guys have kind of forgotten a little bit here, and we can see that God Tank, he was just playing a little bit further back, playing a little bit safer. The other EpicGear Profit members were just playing just a little bit safer, and I think that really helped them to kind of mitigate a little bit of damage and control the flow of the battle where they wanted to actually fire their shells and put their tanks. They decided.
Certainly is a good point that you pick up on there, because I didn't really, I guess, notice that, but now that you mention it, those tanks just sitting out in the middle of nowhere, like, what are they doing?
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy, and I think they might not have had all of the information.
Yeah,
they might have thought, even, alrighty, well, it's probably a case where EpicGear Profit has left 2 tanks up to the 1 flag to defend it, or something like that. They might have been a communication issue. I'm not too sure. But overall, there was definitely a few just little misplays.
Certainly seems like something there for Twist again to work on this time. I mean, their focus fire seemed pretty good, which was the issue that we identified in the previous matchup. But this time it seemed like they just played a little bit too quickly, just rushed into it a bit too headlong. And, as we mentioned, they got themselves into kind of poor positions out in the middle of nowhere, and they weren't able to really do a whole lot with that.
Look, if you're Twist's captain right now, what are you telling your team? You're 3-1 down. It could be one more map and you go on. How do you come back?
Well, I mean, certainly I think there's a lot of time that they have left to play with, right? They've not utilized the timer at all. We saw that as well on Runeberg almost. They kind of played very quickly. They committed straight in towards that 2-cap, and it didn't work out too well for them initially. So I would suggest what we probably should just see here is just a little bit of a slower play come out from EpicGear. From Twist rather. Play the map a little bit more, get a bit more information, and then make some informed decisions as opposed to just rushing headlong into what is essentially a trap.
Yeah, I think that's good advice, and we'll see whether, depending on the map, whether they can implement that sort of. Maybe they've come up with the same takeaway. After that, mate, whether they've said, okay, guys, we really need to just think a little bit more about our moves or not. But I suppose we'll have to wait and see.
Certainly will. I mean, they've had a little bit of time here to settle down. I mean, we've had a tiny bit of downtime now. They can sort of reset themselves.
Yes,
obviously, not get too worked up about how far behind they are in terms of the round difference, and just take each round as its own.
Yep, exactly.
And not let the occasion perhaps get ahead of themselves.
No. And, who knows? Maybe Team EpicGear Profit right now, maybe they'll be, unbottling the champagne and being like, alrighty.
We got this.
Just 2-0'd them on Ghost Town, a very symmetrical map, so we must be better than them. We've got this easy. And, might let that slip a little bit. Who knows? And that could mean the downfall of TGP if my psychological evaluation is correct. But, unfortunately, I'm not a psychologist, so...
That's why we have commentators here rather than psychologists. But I want to ask you, now that we've seen those first 4 rounds, how do you see this one going for Twist? Do you think they're going to be able to come back?
Look, Twist, who knows? But let's now focus on Mines. That is going to be the next map, and we're going to see how it's going to... whether the Twist guys are going to be able to come back or not. Mines, of course, that mine in the middle there is what both of these teams are going to be trying to capture. Gives a lot of map control being up the top there, and we have got the tanks picked as well. And interestingly, heavy lineup coming out here from Twist. They've got 3 T110E5s, that American Tier 10 heavy tanks. So going very, very heavy.
I actually don't mind that, because we know the T110E5 has a great turret.
Yep.
And
great for the hill.
Yeah, exactly. You can utilize these T110E5s extremely well just by picking their turrets over, and we'll see how it works out for them, but I certainly think they've set themselves with a pretty reasonable tank lineup here for this particular map.
Yeah, and just quickly as well, they've got the Gorilla 15.
Oh, here we go.
And he's just sat right back at K4. Oh, the E5's trying to take the hill.
Certainly seems that way, and I guess in theory they've pretty much taken control of that hill. They could potentially move up actually into the hill proper if they decided to, but they do need to be careful. Have a look at this massive flank coming out here from EpicGear Profit. It surely has been spotted out. You can see the bat chat starting to take a little bit of damage, but this is crazy coming out from EpicGear Profit. Such an aggressive strategy that we haven't seen so much on Mines so far.
No, we have not seen it at all, but look at this. They are flanking right behind them, and this is the danger of picking something like a Guerrilla 15. There's no real way for it to deal with flankers, and there's no way for these T110E5s to kind of know about them either. So while the E5s are pushing up on the hill, Jordan, the flank has gone so well for EpicGear Profit.
Yeah, this is fantastic from EpicGear Profit. They've certainly caught Twist off guard quite a bit, but you can see things starting to sort of swing back in the favour. Twist immediately responding by pushing straight in towards Team EpicGear Profit's base, and essentially they've sort of traded sides of the map, and in essence, this has actually favoured Twist as they've been able to push in there, get their kills that they needed, and they haven't taken too much damage on those T110E5s either. There's only a few bat chats remaining here for Team EpicGear Profit, as well as those Object 140s, but certainly Twist looking in a great position to be able to pick up this first round on mines.
Yeah, and look at this. The T110E5s, they are so happy right here, just firing up at the hill on those bat chats, and on the Guerrilla 15, I will wait for you, running away.
Yeah.
So, they didn't really pay much attention to the grill.
I don't think they actually knew that he was there, because they sort of pushed in, probably didn't spot him in the position that he was holding. Now, obviously, they've figured out where he is. Oh, he's going to miss the shot.
How do you miss?
And this is going to be dangerous times now for I Will Wait For You. The Object 140 here, God Tank, just going to be charging straight in there, trying to get as much damage across before the reload here from the Grill 15. I don't even think the Grill 15 is going to be able to one-shot him, so in the end, God Tank here should be able to pick up the kill, but he is taking a bit of fire from that mine area. Needs to be careful with his positioning. The reload almost about to come off here for I Will Wait For You, and God Tank going to go down before the fact anyway. He should have probably been able to close out that kill, though I don't think it would have mattered in the end. EpicGear Profit only have 2 tanks left to play with, and certainly this map is very well in the favour of Twist.
Yeah, it is not looking good for Team EpicGear Profit right now. And, you know, their flank went so well. The issue was that they didn't send all of their team onto the flank. They didn't really kind of think about it, I don't think. They sent 4 tanks onto the flank, a couple of the bat chats, and I think an Object 140.
Yeah.
But the issue was that the other 3 members of the Team EpicGear Profit side, they were just sitting ducks, and Twist capitalised on that. Twist pushed right up into their base and just took them down. So it was really, like, it could have worked out if EpicGear had put all 7 tanks into the flank.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say how that probably should have gone for EpicGear Profit. I mean, the flank did work out well, so in theory their strategy worked fine, but Twist were able to just respond very well to it. Might have been interesting to see what would have happened perhaps if EpicGear Profit had have had something like a tank destroyer, something like the Grill 15, sitting up in towards that A4 hill. If the T110E5s had to push down straight into the fire of the Grill 15, things could have gone a little bit differently, but who knows?
Gaptol here, he is not looking too good. He's got a lot of angry tanks coming around him just to finish him off there. So, unfortunately, he goes up in smoke as well. That's going to be a hefty repair bill for him. Well, it would be if he had to, but there you go. Another victory for Twist, evening it up a little bit, 2-3. After that one.
Certainly is, but EpicGear still in the lead. I think Twist looked very confident on that map, though. So here at the moment, EpicGear probably just shaking a little bit. I would suspect Twist would be quite confident heading in towards the second half of this one. They look very comfortable on mines. Yeah,
they actually do. Really, and those E5s that they picked there as well, like you said, very strong map on mines. So, very strong tank on mines, and you know, we saw it as well. Those bat chats, as soon as they completed their flank, they tried, you know, to get them, but here we go. This is the 113 just getting taken down, and these E5s just so strong here, and I will wait for you, the poor Gorilla.
Yeah. Well, he actually survived and then almost took a shot from his teammate. But I think the real takeaway here from Twist is that they were able to respond to that situation quite well. So the communication seemed to be working, at least on mines here, very well. I mean, in theory, that sort of a strategy coming out from EpicGear Profit would put a bit of confusion into the minds of Twist there. They'd be like, what, we're getting shot from behind, what's going on? But they had a calm sort of mind, and they just were like, okay, let's send our T110E5 straight into the enemy base and try and make use of that strength in terms of their armor, their HP. They can play with a little bit more aggressively.
Exactly.
And they only had 2 113s to deal with, so they certainly had the power in numbers as well. They just took advantage of the situation, and they did exactly what they needed to do to counteract the strategy that EpicGear Profit was employing.
Yeah, I mean, just pretty simple play there by the guys from Twist, utilising their tanks very, very well. But I mean, I think I still want to see another Arty. They didn't pick an Arty that time, and they won. But really, I would love to see an M40, M43. You know, just smoke one of these bat chats, or maybe the Object 140 in our next half here on Mines. I'd love to see.
It's not an awful pick on Mines at all.
No.
So it's certainly something that we could perhaps see.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen the SPG coming out too much.
Yeah, I remember back in the day when we played in the Tier 8 format for esports, one of the big picks on Mines was the British Tier 6 artillery, and the names just escaped me.
Remind me
yes,
of that tank.
Yes, the tiny little artillery, the British Tier 6 one that just has such a nice gun arc, and that was always picked on Mines. Such a good tank for it.
You know, I actually really enjoy driving the FV304 because it's such an annoying tank.
Oh, it really, really is.
It actually infuriates me so much. I have a passionate hatred for artillery because obviously I play a lot of light tanks and a lot of heavy tanks. I'm not much of an artillery player, but when I do play the artillery, you know, of course I get that. I sort of channel that evil inner spirit, and I pick the FV304 and it just causes a bit of chaos.
Yes, and I think that's what our teams have done in the past as well. But here we go, jumping into the next half for today on Mines, I think. And we've got, what have we got?
A couple more T110E5s for Twist.
T110E5s. I'm liking those. Two of them on the Twist side. But yeah, it's looking like they're going to be taking the hill early on. We might see, the RU251 gets a bit of early vision. That's going to be valuable for Team EpicGear Profit, having that man up there.
Yeah, the RU251, certainly one of the fastest tanks in the game. If I'm not mistaken, it is the fastest in the game. And certainly, well, using that speed to get up there quite quickly. Only took the one shot. I think that's a worthwhile trade for getting control of that hill.
Definitely is, I think. So that RU Sparpanzer is going to be just using that position to get some spots on towards the Twist tanks right there. And oh no, God Tank is already in a lot of trouble. These E5s just pummeling through his armor.
Yeah, certainly are, but well, Twist haven't actually taken any damage in response just yet, so starting off quite well. I mean, they picked up the victory on Mines in the last round, and already they're starting to get an advantage again here on Mines, so definitely seems like a map that they are very well versed in.
Definitely does. So I think right now these T110E5s are just doing work here for Twist on the attacking side. And they've got I Will Wait For You in the Gorilla 15.
Yeah. I've actually just realised the irony of him playing a tank destroyer because...
Look at that. Oh, he just got the best snipe onto the RU251. And, like, that's the reason why you picked the grill here on Mines. It's got the most accurate gun in the game, and you can just, like, there's always going to be people on the hill, right, that aren't used to the grill. It's still a fairly new tank. It wasn't in last season, right? But it's just a laser cannon. Like these lasers that we can turn on here in spectator mode, that is effectively how accurate a Gorilla 15 is.
Yeah. Certainly a pretty potent tank, but has to be utilised correctly because as soon as you make sort of a misplay, misposition yourself, well, we all know how thin the armour on the Gorilla 15 there is.
It is certainly very, very thin. I think probably the thinnest out of all Tier 10 tanks, if I am not mistaken.
Yeah.
But, yeah, either way, though, I think right now, let's hold that thought. The T110E5s from Twist are actually pushing up, and it's looking like Twist are going to be trying to make a push, and they're going for the throat here of EpicGear Profit. They don't want to put pressure on the 2 flag to try and cap it. They just want to try and take out all of the members of TGP.
Yeah, both these T110E5s trying to get some damage across to the FV215Bs, and they haven't really managed to do a whole lot of late. Obviously, we can see both those FV215Bs on the side of EpicGear Profit are quite low, and we are starting to see a bit of movement coming out now from Twist. The flank coming around here, and that's going to be the go signal for the T110E5s. In the end, it's the TVP to pick up the kill, and that's great work from Twist. They get another tank down, and they don't lose too much HP in doing so. So, fantastic stuff coming out from Twist here, and they're just playing slowly, which is what we identified they need to do, is to slow things down and take the battles that they can win, as opposed to just charging in there headlong with no idea what's going on.
Yeah, exactly here. And Twist, they're just playing this one you know, like you said, slowly and calculating every move before they take it. So EpicGear Profit, they're not rushing in. You know, they've got their TVPs as well, but the issue is that, like, Twist have the E5s, the T110 E5s, and there is no way that you're going to win a match like this just trying to trade blows on a hill against a T110 E5 when you don't have one, because that is what the tank was made for. It's got the perfect turret armor for it. It's got the perfect gun for it. A nice big cannon, deals a lot of damage, and Twist are just using it so well.
Certainly have been using it to perfection at the moment. It seems like it's their standard tank here on Mines. They picked it both on the attacking and defending side, and it's been kind of a crucial part in their victory as well. EpicGear Profit now just slowing the play down a little bit. Obviously, Twist have opted not to push in too hard, and EpicGear Profit have sort of fallen back a little bit more towards their spawn. So a bit of a lull in the play for the moment, but you can see again a bit of an exchange of damage. This time, Yui is going to take the majority of the damage here. Once again, EpicGear Profit losing out on a trade.
Yeah, there we go. So Team EpicGear Profit are going to be kind of looking a little bit shaky right now. We've got 9.4k HP over on the Twist side. EpicGear on about 6.5 thousand total HP across their entire team as well. So Dodo waiting though on the Twist side. He's using this TVP, I was about to say really well. He's still using it really well, but just has to be a little bit careful now, as it's looking like the Gorilla is going to pick up, I think, a second kill of the match there for I Will Wait For You. And dealing a lot of damage.
Certainly are. And, you know, again, it's sort of a slow and steady victory coming out here for Twist. If they inevitably do pick this victory up, which they should, they're going to bring it back to 3-3. And, you know, at one point, Team EpicGear Profit was up 3-1, and we were like, okay, this is perhaps going to be a bit of a blowout. EpicGear Profit just going to roll over Twist here, but all of a sudden we're back to 3-3. Or almost back to 3-3, I should say. It's not quite there yet.
Almost. Unless Jurdis here can pull off a miraculous turnaround, and that's the issue with auto-loading tanks, honestly, is that you can never really pull off like a super mega awesome turnaround, because you've only got 4 shells in your clip. So it's like, yeah, you can kill, maybe you can destroy 1 or 2 tanks, but like after that you have to reload for like 20 seconds or something. So the TVP going to be trying to roll around here, maybe finding... No, he won't even be able to find the kill into best moment.
Go out with a blaze of glory.
Yep. There we go. Bit of a ram, and he didn't try and dodge that.
He just went straight in there. He's like, oh, you know what? May as well. Give it a go. Let's do it. 3-3, the scoreline at the moment here between Twist and Team EpicGear Profit. Certainly shaping up to be a good matchup. I mean, we've still got, what, 3 potential matches to go, so obviously next map is going to be a really crucial one for both of these teams. They need to at least go 1-for-1 if they want to get that tiebreaker, but if someone goes 2-0, they'll win the series.
Yes, well, there you go, and it hasn't been so easy, obviously, for our teams to go 2-0 before, really.
No.
And the only team looking good enough to do that at the moment has been Wargaming, but who knows? Maybe we'll see 2-0 on the next one.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. Let's have a look and see how the matchup there on Mines went.
Okay, so here we go. We can see that was the IS4 going down at this stage. TGP have just gone down, and yep, Jurdis, here we go, with the ram coming in. He
did actually do a fair bit of damage to the Object 140, to be fair.
To be fair, exactly. The Object 140, I mean... If you're going to ram a medium tank, it's going to be an Object 140, because Object 140 for a medium, not the lightest medium, and it's going to probably come out on top against something like a Bat Shed or even that TVP, like we saw there. So not a bad move.
It's going to be quite interesting to see what map comes up next here in the lineup, because we saw Ruinberg, which was kind of just a pretty even one. And then Ghost Town, which is a little bit more of I guess, a city-type map.
Yeah.
Favouring EpicGear here, and then heading over onto Mines, a little bit more of an open map now.
Yep.
Does favour Twist. Something maybe like Steps or Moravanka
Steps
here.
would be interesting, yeah, or Moravanka. I would like to see a Steps, honestly, yeah.
Well, I know you like Steps.
I like my Steps. You can get all of the crazy boosts up on Steps, of course, and there's lots of ways to play the attacking side on Steps. I've seen lots of crazy rushes on steps before where, teams just go crazy for the 2 flag early on. As soon as the timer hits 0, I've seen. And whether the teams want to do this, in the WGL APAC Gold Series. I've seen it in some other smaller cups, but these guys are playing for the playing for
big leagues.
Big leagues right now. So
yeah, I mean, not just cash, but also the berth into the grand finals and all that sort of thing up for grabs. I mean, that's a little bit later down the track, but certainly it's got to be in their minds at the moment.
Definitely. So these guys are going to be trying to employ their best strategies, I think. And, they've had a lot of time to prepare, of course, for this first season, for 2016 to 2017.
Yep.
And lots of time to practice amongst each other, amongst the other region. But I think it's not until we actually get to these games when, the real fun starts, where we see these teams, employing strategies which they've might have theory crafted.
Yeah.
Amongst each other.
I know, there's a lot of boosts that we haven't seen coming out yet. We have a big folder of all these different boosts that we know about, but the teams haven't necessarily utilized yet. And I think, it'd be a bit preemptive to use it in the first week of competition. You don't want to be giving away your secret strategies that early. But that's something that I think, should be looking out for as we head in towards the later stages of this league, or perhaps even to the halfway mark, where some teams might be in danger of getting knocked out of the competition.
Yeah, potentially. So I think it would actually be good. I think we can see if we can maybe show some of those boosts later on during the season to everyone watching at home, so you can maybe make a little note of them, jot them down.
In your pub match.
And,
the majority of which are single tank boosts as well.
Exactly. So for those that don't know, of course, a boost is when you kind of get up into a position or onto a position on the map that you are not really meant to. The designers didn't think of when they made it over in Rush. They're like, surely no one will go up here into the steps hill. No, we can make a nice defense there. Yeah. I'm not sure what accent I'm going to, but
Polish Russian hybrid.
Yeah, let's actually maybe not do that anymore. But anyway, so either way, they're good boosts. They're good little tips, and you can use them in your public matches. I've already used a couple, and they've worked really well. So
a couple of things I guess to think about is that, as we mentioned, they are single person boosts, so you can do them on your own. You need to have the specific tanks, right? You can't do it in just something like
you can't do it like a mouse.
You know what? I'm going to drive my E100 up this massive hill. Let's go. No, it doesn't work like that. You need something like the RU251, maybe the AMX 1390.
You're not going to get up there with a TOG.
No.
Unfortunately, so a little bit disappointing.
Yeah, I'm not sure necessarily how useful they would be in a 15 versus 15,
awesome.
but...
Oh, Himmelsdorf!
Yeah,
on the Himmels. Okay, first time seeing Himmels today. It is, of course, the urban close quarters map with lots of little corners to peek around for both of our teams. And here we go. Twist are going to be bringing to the fray some fairly standard tanks. They've got the E3 in there. In fact, both teams have the T110 E3 in there, which is an American Tier 10 tank destroyer. It's got that nice big gun on it, a lot of frontal armor, a lot of turret armor, very hard to get through. So perfect for these kind of little one-way alleys and kind of defensive lines here on Himmelsdorf.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how this one turns out, because obviously we saw EpicGear Profit pick up those 2 matches on Ghost Town, the more city-favoured map of the pool so far, and EpicGear Profit now here on Himmelsdorf should, in theory, I guess, just looking at that sort of a statistic, have a slight advantage. Yeah,
definitely. So I think right now Twist is going to be positioning to a banana line push right now. We can see Twist is positioning to defend the 1 and 2 flags, as EpicGear are positioning for a banana line push. They've got one tank up on the castle, as we like to call it, and I think that's going to be one of their mediums, potentially a Batchat up there. But we've got Tilla Dalby overlooking the central park, if you're the courtyard of the map, and not too much action just yet. So EpicGear playing this one like I think this is sort of how Dark Wolves played Himmelsdorf here. Nice and passive, nice and laid back, and just waiting until they kind of get a little bit more info before they make a move.
Yeah, I'm a little bit interested to see where Gapdol actually does go with this T110E3 because, I mean, at the moment he's just sitting back here, obviously not doing a whole lot, but it certainly seems like the guys from EpicGear Profit want to go for a railway push here, and if they can get Gapdol into a good position here in the T110E3, that's going to be quite dangerous for Twist.
It's going to be very, very dangerous for Twist because Gapdol, obviously we can see him there in that T110E3, such a strong tank to push down the railway line, and you know, on a map like Himmelsdorf, where there are so few flanking options, pushing a tank like the T110E3 down one way where it doesn't really matter if people or people aren't really able to get on the side of you or behind you, it's a good strategy. So hopefully EpicGear Profit will employ that. For now, though, they're just moving the rest of their tanks down towards that 2-3K line, and they should be able to make their push pretty soon. But for now, just taking a look at God Tank, and we aren't seeing really too many crazy picks here as well. We've got one of the bat chats over on the EpicGear Profit side. It's a great tank just to have up on the hill. Oh!
It looks like we are starting to see a bit of movement coming out from EpicGear Profit. That 7 minutes ticking over apparently seems to be the go signal. They sent Tilla Dalby in the AMX 1390 down straight in towards that J1 area, trying to get some spots across, and he took a little bit of, or the EpicGear Profit guys rather took a little bit of damage for the troubles. Having said that though, Twist now have been spotted out, and well, I will wait for you, taking a huge amount of damage, and the FV215B there as well for Twist. Not having the greatest of times, starting to slowly but surely see this match unfold.
Yeah, and look at this God Tank here. Oh, he's using those angles so effectively. That strong turret armor, strong sloped turret armor at the front of the FV215B, just really working in his favor. He finally took one shot there though, but it's looking like we are going to be seeing the push coming in from Team EpicGear Profit on the 1 flag, I can see there. So they're going to be getting their T110E3 up into a nice kind of defensive position near that flag. They're helping out with the AMX 1390 and their FV215B as well. So it's looking like Gapdol is going to be able to get some shots out soon.
Yeah, we can see Jurdis GP now making his way through the courtyard as well, getting straight in towards that D line, which is going to be so crucial. He's going to be able to come around there and be a bit of a nuisance, a little bit closer to the lineup of Twist than the current EpicGear members. So that's going to put a bit of a spanner in the works here for Twist as to how they want to defend this. EpicGear Profit slowly but surely getting control of the map, and this is exactly what they need to do on their offensive side.
There we go, and we can see right now Jurdis is going to be pushing up with that T110E5. And overall, he doesn't want to round that corner because there is a lot of Twist members waiting for him. And the E5, it's great at poking hills, but you can still go through that frontal arm with something like an FV215B. Of course, let's not forget that all of these guys, they're using the expensive rounds. They're using gold premium ammo in their tanks. So it's going to be much easier for them to hit through and penetrate each other's armor. But right now, Walrus 71 in that FV215B is just going to be, again, looking down the line. We haven't actually seen a full committed push yet from EpicGear Profit, but I like what they're doing here. Tilla Dalby in the AMX 1390. I'm guessing he's going to be poking right in towards the base and starting to get the base cap going, getting some pressure applied.
The first little kill coming out there, Team EpicGear Profit picking up I Will Wait For You in the AMX 50B, who in theory I don't think had very much of an impact on this game. If Tilla Dalby starts to, I guess, pick his time right here, gets his cap going on this 2 cap, it's going to really split the force here from Twist because they need to deal with these players in towards the 1 cap, but now they've also got pressure heading over towards the 2 cap, and that's going to split the defense here from Twist, which is going to be making it quite a bit easier for Team EpicGear Profit, obviously, to negotiate this map.
Yeah, that is definitely right, and we can see Jurdis here. He's chosen another route to try and push down as the base cap has started liking that bit of pressure applied from Team EpicGear Profit. So right now, Twist, they have a decision to make. Do they focus on the 2 flag? How many tanks are there? They've seen Jurdis, they've seen an AMX 1390 that's on the actual flag itself, or do they try and eliminate the Twist members on the one flag first? You know, who are they going to send down there? There's lots of communication that needs to go on in the Twist team for them to deal with this.
Yeah, there certainly does, and I mean, they don't have a huge amount of time to work with. There's 65 seconds left still on the cap, but there's a couple of players from EpicGear over towards that 2 cap that they can jump straight onto that 2 cap and, you know, move that timer down very quickly. So a difficult situation now for Twist to negotiate. Jurdis here in this sort of alleyway has to go down to these 2 from from Twist rather, because he's really holding them off and denying that reset. Eventually you can see the reset comes out there, but Twist do lose a tank for their troubles, and it looks like EpicGear are going to try and push their advantage. The T125 Jurdis here trying to take on that 1390, who really can't take a duel like this. The reload not quite coming off there for the T125, and he's going to fire a shot, misses it in the end, or perhaps might have hit a tank behind the 1390. I'm not sure what exactly happened there, but the 1390 survives that for the moment. And, well, Master's Curse,
Not
as
anymore.
they say. The T125 picking that tank up with ease. And now EpicGear Profit starting to swing this battle in their favor. They do lose a player there, FV215B, but there's only 28 seconds left on this cap. There's no one from Twist anywhere near that 2 cap. I don't think they're even going to be able to reset this one, Alex.
No, they're not. And look at this. Gaptol is in a lot of trouble. He's got 1 tank coming up from behind him and 1 tank on the side of him. I think that other E3 just, oh no, took him out with the help of them. But 5 seconds left on the cap.
Yeah, it doesn't matter at all that Gaptol goes down there, because Twist, you know, they're all the way down towards the south end of the map. The base cap is going to go across there. Team EpicGear Profit pick up their attacking side on Himmelsdorf, and, well, we mentioned they had a good sort of a map on Ghost Town, the other city map. Now, on Himmelsdorf, they're looking pretty strong there as well.
Looking very, very strong indeed. And in that one, you know, Team EpicGear Profit, they just held control of the game for, I feel as though the entire map. They made every move as like a measured move. You know, they really thought about it. There was obviously a lot of communication going on with their team saying, okay, guys, let's just wait. You know, come over to me, come over to the K line. We're going to be, you know, kind of feeling out for a railway push. Let's send one guy, the AMX, on towards the flag to start getting some pressure on. Let's get an E3 up there. Let's confuse them a little bit. You know, confuse them with a rail push while we're actually trying to cap the 2 flag. So the other flag. So yeah, it worked out pretty well.
It was quite interesting, I guess, to see the disparity there between EpicGear's strategy on their attacking side on Mines and their strategy on the attacking side on Himmelsdorf, because on Mines we saw them, if you remember, go for that massive flank. They tried to get in there super quickly with the bat chats and the Object 140, as I believe it was, and this time just playing back a little bit, playing very slowly. First 3.5 minutes, they didn't really do anything. And then, you know, they were able to get the advantages slowly but surely, get the little bits of damage across, get the information that they needed, and as a result, able to pick up the victory there by some nice rotations over towards that 1 cap.
Yep, so very well played there. And the question is, will they be able to kind of pull that off again on the other side, on the defensive side there? And, you know, maybe Twist might be, again, more comfortable on the attack. We've seen it with, well, with a few teams before, so yeah, it's going to be interesting.
It should certainly be an interesting matchup coming out here. It's almost a must-win now for Twist, because
it is.
Obviously, well, yeah, it is, because as we've seen, EpicGear now have 4 wins on the board, and Twist only have that 3. So I guess just having a look at how that map turned out, but really now, all eyes on Twist, all pressure on Twist. They need to take this one to the overtime if they want to pick up some points out of this.
Yes, they do. So here we go. This was poor Alex Dye in the 1390, and well, he lived up to his name.
He did actually
Jordan.
in the end hit the FV215B there, so Jurdis wasn't shooting at nothing.
I
So
see.
That was, yeah.
There we go. But it comes out onto the road and pays the price.
Demolished.
So, rip. Rest in peace.
Not much you can do in the 1390 there on a map like Himmelsdorf. Like, you can run around and drive really quick, but you don't have much room to maneuver. It's hard to get around behind enemies.
I'm not a fan of the 1390 on the defensive side of Himmelsdorf there.
Yeah.
I'm honestly not, because, yeah, like you said, there's not really much you can do.
No.
Back in the day, yeah, you could pick an AMX 12T and, you know, kind of dart around it, could do the proxy spotting down on the banana. But really, a 1390, it's like, you know what I want to see? I want to see some more Tier 8 tank destroyers.
Yeah.
Play.
I haven't seen any actually so far at all.
Not Tier 8s. But that's the thing, of course, the Tier 8 tank destroyers, you know, it's going to have a good enough gun to go in, but, yeah, guess not.
All right, looks like we're on to the second half here of Himmelsorf. Need I remind you, it is 4-3 in the favour of EpicGear Profit. If they're able to win here on their defensive side, they'll pick up the series and get that 3-pointer. Twist, though, if they pick up the victory on their attacking side, will force it into the tiebreaker.
Yes, they will. So right here, let's take a look at where EpicGear Profit roll out to. That's interesting. They're actually going for quite an aggressive rollout, sending their RU-251 Sparpanzer and the Batchat 25T right down to the bottom of the rail yard. So they know that no one from Twist is going to be pushing around that area this early on. They've got a good bit of information there. And they've got that T110E3 as well, just sitting up at their base on the 2 flag. But it looks like it might be a coordinated banana hill push.
Yeah, a really aggressive strategy coming out there from EpicGear Profit, but it certainly worked out. They've got the information that they need, and I guess they can rotate their positions as required from that information.
Yes, that is true. So I think Tiller Dalby here as well in that RU-251. He's kind of done the scouting that he needs to. So he's kind of had a little poke down there. And now he said, okay, no one there. You know, let's try and find out where they actually are, because that's his job in the Tier 8 light tank. It is solely to find out where the enemy team are, and he's going to be doing that right now, because I think he's just spotted out a few of the tanks from Twist that crossed the banana.
Yeah, so EpicGear Profit once again going to be getting a little bit more information. The sort of the painting, I guess, is slowly but surely being finished in terms of they are figuring out where exactly Twist is going, what they want to do, and what their plan is. And it certainly seems like Twist at the moment might have cottoned onto this, because they've started to rotate a little bit back from the positions that they were starting to take, and they might be rethinking their strategy.
They might be there, but Hoi Hing Lai there in the 113, we can just see a shell coming in towards him, and the FV215Bs there of Twister just waiting a little bit. Of course, that's... we've got the T110E5 in action as well. But yeah, everyone, we haven't actually seen any damage dealt yet either, and that's pretty interesting.
No, that is true. We have seen a shell connect.
Yeah.
But we haven't actually seen any damage come across.
To the tracks.
Yeah, the tracks there from the
FV215B. And here we go, Lai Hoi Wai in the Batchat 25T, otherwise known as the Batignolles Chatillon Char 25T.
I'm not even going to try and pronounce that.
Well, I probably butchered it, but hopefully we don't have too many French viewers.
You need Chinese lessons, now you need French
lessons and German lessons.
And German, yes. We established that yesterday.
But yeah, the Batignolles Chatillon, I think let's just call it the Batchat for now, as we have been doing. It was a pretty interesting French tank. Bit of a fun fact on it: was developed in the 1950s and never actually went into production. Had a contest on it, the French, and they ended up choosing the AMX-30 to use as their kind of main tank instead of it. I think it probably held more cheese and wine or something like that. The Batchat's quite a small one.
More bread.
Yeah, more baguettes.
So. Hey, I like this. The AMX-1390 sitting down here on the 2 cap. Such a nice little corner that it can slot itself in. It makes it very difficult for the defensive side to actually reset the cap there, because they kind of have to commit all the way around the corner if they even want to try and damage that tank. Maybe they can fire some HE shells and try and clip the tank.
But
it is difficult.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think Gaptol here in this E3 is going to be able to find it. We can see it's so hard just to kind of get a nice little angle there of where Gaptol is aiming, but he's going to change it up. So he's like, okay, I'm going to go into my other pillbox and maybe fire out some HE. So if you can hit it, that's going to be pretty impressive.
He's going to be trying to reset here, or at least do a bit of damage to that AMX-50B, who has made his way forward on towards that 2 cap. At the moment, though, not really pressuring it too much. The AMX-50B does take a little bit of damage, and as a result, has to fall back. So the pressure, not too bad here for EpicGear Profit, but the timer, slowly but surely, is counting down. You can see the Batchat now up on the hill is going to be tested here by the RU-251. A huge amount of ram damage coming out, but I don't know if that's going to necessarily favour the RU-251. A fairly light tank in the scheme of things. In the end, though, does have a bit of backup, and the Batchat going to be going down there. The first tank out of this round, and now the FV215.
10 seconds left on the base cap.
You are right. 10 seconds left. EpicGear Profit have to make their move on towards this this 2-cap. They're going to try and make their way around that corner. I think it's God Tank, and he will get the reset across the 1390, taking a big chunk of damage. The AMX 50B not even there to back him up, and, well, this 1390, Alex Dye has to just get out of that position as fast as he can. This is not looking too great at all for Twist. They seem to have been surrounded, or at least put into positions which are less than ideal. They should see the FV215B going down, but no! Not quite going to be taking enough damage there. Survives for the moment. The reload coming out. It's the FV215B versus the FV215B. Great work from the 113 to push the FV215B back. Keeping Best Momo alive for the moment there. The reload is off, but he's not going to get the shot here. And the 113 should, in the end, be able to pick up that kill, and he does. Wow. That was a little bit interesting, but certainly swings things a little bit back in the favor of Twist. And we'll see if this AMX 50B can close out the kill. He does in the end, but that FV215B certainly survived a little bit longer than he deserved to. And things all of a sudden get a lot closer.
Yes, they do. And here we go. We've got the T110E3 going for a nice big ram on towards Walrus. 71 in the FE. And what he's trying to do here is just make sure that Walrus is always in front of his gun. But oh, yep, Harang's going to be coming in now as well. See you later, Walrus.
Yeah, Walrus in a very poor position. The autoloader there for the bat chat, able to clean up that kill without too much difficulty. Across the other side of the map, though, we are going to see the 50B going down here, and we're down to a 2 versus 2. This is getting so close, Alex. A 113 and FV215B available here for Twist, and a bat chat and a T110E3 available for Team EpicGear Profit.
Oh, yes, and that was an excellent shot on towards that E3 by the FV215B. So hard to go through the E3's armor from the front, but Dodo Waiting manages just to kind of thread the needle, so to speak, and find one of its weak spots.
The T110E3's been caught out by 2 here. The 113 coming around right behind it, and obviously the tank destroyer here, the T110E3, doesn't have a turret, can't turn his gun around, and has been absolutely outplayed here by Twist. This is such an important play coming out. Horang in that bat chat is going to try and come around from behind. If he can get there in time and pick up this 113 before he reloads, it could be huge. He's going to get the shot across, but the 113 does manage to take down the T110E3, and now it's Horang up against Dodo Waiting. It's a 1v1. If EpicGear pick this one up, they take the series and get the 3 points.
He's going for the reload. Horang's going for the reload, so he cannot engage Dodo in the next 40 or so seconds in that bat chat. He needs to run away, and oh my goodness, Jordan, this is going right down to the wire. Dodo Waiting in the FV215B knows that if he tries to engage Horang, it's going to take 2 shells from his FV215B before Horang goes down. Horang, if he gets the reload, which he will do right now, it's only going to take him, well, 2 shells again.
Oh, he gets on the cap just in time. All we need to see here coming out from Horang is 1 reset, and he can run away. The FV215B shouldn't, in theory, be able to catch up to the bat chat, which is a very fast tank. This is going right down to the wire. Well, if he does track him, that would be interesting to see. I don't think... Yeah, look, Horang has already used his repair kit. He doesn't have one available, so that might be the saving grace here for Twist. But regardless, we'll have to wait and see how this one turns out.
Dodo Waiting, he can't move. He literally can't move, or he loses.
Yeah.
So he's stuck there, and Horang in the bat chat he's just going to sit here for I think the next at least 30, 40 seconds or so.
Play down the timer.
Maybe even a minute, and just play to the timer. And I love this little standoff. I think he knows exactly where Dodo Waiting is sitting. So he's going to come down this road, poke it, and just put 1 shell into Dodo, and then run for his life.
Imagine if Dodo ammo racks him. Like, that would be insane, but we'll have to wait and see. 55 seconds still on the clock. Horang has plenty of time to play with. Just going to turn his gun around before he decides to peek the back of his tank around this corner, but there you go. He will peek in there. He knows he can take a shot, but he doesn't manage to get the reset across. He's going to take it, and there you go. The second shot comes across, and, well, that should be the victory coming out here for EpicGear Profit if Horang plays this correctly. Dodo Waiting, he did what he could, but there's only so much you could do in a situation like that.
33 seconds left, and Dodo Waiting is going to be trying to get right on towards Horang. Horang's got to just bail from this FV215B, and
it's such a tough situation here for Dodo Waiting. He's driving as fast as he can, but really, have a look. It's like a snail's pace almost.
Yeah. Compared to the bat chat, it definitely is, but that had my heart racing as the Batchat missed that first shot there. I thought, maybe Dodo waiting would have been able to get an ammo rack, but it's looking like no. We will see the countdown tick down to 0. So that was close.
That was certainly close. Probably the closest single round that we've seen so far coming out today, but it's certainly been a fantastic matchup between Twist and EpicGear Profit there. A 5-3 in the favour of EpicGear Profit. They take out 2 rounds to 0 on Himmelsdorf to secure the victory. 2
rounds to 0. So well played to TGP, and I think they deserved that one in the end, really, Jordan. I mean, they played so well there on Himmelsdorf, and honestly, I think after seeing a few matches on Himmelsdorf yesterday, I wouldn't want to be going up against TGP on Himmels.
No, certainly not. I mean, especially on Ghost Town as well, EpicGear had some very good performances. So it certainly seems like those city maps are definitely something they're comfortable on.
Certainly. So, it's obviously some of those wider maps where they, may have a little bit more troubles on something like Ruinberg, where there's a few kind of more options for them, but they know their city maps really well.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and take a look at how that map turned out, because it certainly was a very exciting one there. And, there was some very big plays coming out here, especially, I think, here from the 113 to be able to push that FV215B out of position there.
Yeah, look at that. Hoiking line the 113 using the horsepower of his Chinese tier 10 heavy tank to get Karatny out of the way. And honestly, I'm not even going to try and pronounce his whole name there. No. That was a little bit confusing, but
it's the little things like that, because you could see how close this game ended up being, that such a small play like that, saving your teammate from taking an extra shot, can, in the end, come down to something which is so much more impactful than perhaps just that singular play would necessarily entail.
Exactly, and Gapdol there going down the T110 E3. It was such a strong tank, the E3, but here we go. This is it. So he misses his first shot here, Horang, and he doesn't actually kind of angle his turret perfectly before he peeks the corner.
Yeah, it was a little interesting.
Yeah, like he had all the time, but
Well, I mean, he knew he could take a couple of hits there, so I don't think he was particularly worried. He knew he had the autoloader. If he missed the first shot, it wasn't going to be such a big deal. So he just, he didn't necessarily play it to perfection, because if it was perfect, he would have gotten that first reset.
Shot, exactly.
Regardless, he played it quite well.
He did, I think, and his team's going to be giving him a little bit of a pat on the back, nonetheless. I think after that one, he just needed to hit one shot. He kind of did know where the FV215B was, but still a nice play, nonetheless. So.
Yeah, it certainly was a good performance coming out from EpicGear Profit. They put themselves in a good position there, being able to pick up those 3 points. It did look shaky throughout the middle there. They lost the 2 rounds there on Mines, but they were able to bring it back there on Himmelsdorf. But that's going to be that from that matchup in particular. But don't go anywhere, though, because we do have a couple more, or even 3 more matches coming up today. We are going to head to a short break, but stay tuned, because our next matchup will be up very shortly.